So today's gonna be kind of like a mini rant because I read the book The Shadows in Between Us. Thankfully, I didn't buy it physically because otherwise it would be taking up space on my bookshelf and God knows I'm running out of space. So just some background story. This girl, her name is Alessandra, I don't know how to pronounce it right, but that's her name. And she wants to kill the king and wants to become queen and rule the world, / their kingdom. It's never explained to us exactly why. The explanation we're given is so vague, it's almost insulting. She's supposed to be the villain kind of in the story, and there's some parts that you just love her as a villain. You're like, yeah, I want her to succeed. I want her to kill that damn man and get the kingdom and become a queen and just be the villain we have come to love. But then, she's just not that clever. And for a villain that's supposed to be clever and become an assassin or a murderess, it's just, there's something missing. And then they make the king kind of likable. Too likable, in my opinion. To the point where we're conflicted, which is good, because that's supposed to be the book. But then we're also he's supposed to be wary of people that want to touch him because then he'll lose his powers in the plot, but he just gets attached too quickly. So it's okay, it makes sense for someone who has never been touched in God knows how long to be a little wary of someone touching him, but at the same time, why do you get attached so quickly, man? And then his powers are briefly explained, yet again, just like Alessandra and her desire to kill the king and become the queen is just as equally vague on his explanations of his powers. We get maybe one paragraph, which he's not even sure about it. That's the worst part. He's not even sure that's how he got his powers. He's just a theory. So yeah, I don't know. And then the kingdom in which everything takes place, it's so vaguely explained. It's she just dumped it out of nowhere. And it's okay, so does everyone have powers? Only the king has powers? Why does he have powers? Why is no one freaking out that only the king has powers? How is it passed down? No, nothing. We just have to just live with it. We just have to just merge into this world out of nowhere, into this kingdom out of nowhere. No explanation, no background story, nothing, no depth. And the worst part is it's a combination of modern and Victorian era stuff with modern stuff. They have guns and they have other things in them that are modern, they have lights, but then they also are in the Victorian era, and we have absolutely no explanation for this. None. There's so much building of mysteries and what's gonna happen next, and then it just leads to nothing. It's just an edging for absolutely no reason. And then at the end we get a plot twist that absolutely no one saw coming. The actual villain of the story came out of nowhere, was flushed out of nowhere. Its background story was never mentioned up until the end. It almost felt the author was writing it and was oh, I gotta put a plot twist somewhere here, and just accidentally dumped it, instead of what we're seeing in most places that do suspense or plot twist, which is slowly building it, giving it a little bit of clue after a little bit of clue. But on this one, it was oh, meaningless clues that at the end supposed to make sense, and we have to pretend they made sense, but they never made sense, and it's just a horrible plot twist that we don't give a shit about. And the delivery of the plot twist, it's so boring. Fine, if you're gonna put a plot twist that makes no sense, at least put it with fireworks, make an entrance out of it. No, it was 3 paragraphs, I think. That was it. That was a plot twist. End of story. And then after that, they lived happily ever after, because whatever. There were so many spaces to put action and more plots and more depth and so much more, so many spaces, and they were just left empty. To the point that you kind of don't care anymore about some of the characters. Even the main character, at some point, I got annoyed by her. I was like, oh my god, could you be any stupider? Like, it was like watching a horror movie without the horror, where you just see the characters get themselves into dumb situations that obviously are not gonna work out, and you can't fathom how it makes sense in their brain to do certain things. So yeah, I highly don't recommend this book. I read it super fast because I just wanted to know what was gonna happen, but zero, not my type, not recommendable. The author had some solid lines like, oh, like, they've never found the body of whoever I killed before, and the guy that broke my first time broke my heart, stuff like that. It's just like really, really great start, you know? Like, you start reading it and you're like, ooh, she's going somewhere, she's going places, she's definitely going places. But then there's so many plot holes, so many. And this book is just the opposite of wine. It just gets worse the more you read it, instead of like the opposite, which usually happens with books. Sometimes the start is rough and then it just becomes better. No. This one had a great start and it just went down south so bad.